Hello ladies and gents, welcome to another repair video. Today we're going to be taking a look at this PlayStation 4 which has been sent in. This particular console has been sent in because it has an issue with the HDMI circuit, and if we take a look at the ticket here we can see that this was sent in to Console Repair London and booked in under HDMI circuitry repair. Now the interesting thing about this, and the reason that I'm making the video, is because I've never seen Console Repair London put this description on the ticket. So basically, for those of you that don't know, Console Repair London is a business based in London where they repair consoles, basically, and all of the difficult stuff gets sent to me. So basically, anything that requires, you know, very fine work under the microscope, trace repair, that sort of stuff, all gets sent to me. And it's a business-to-business agreement that we've had in place for almost a year now, around about 8 months, I think. And I've never actually seen him put this down on the ticket, so I don't really know what to expect, to be honest. It could be damaged traces, it could be that the port has just been damaged and he hasn't got time to do it himself, or it could be that there's something else wrong with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and turn it on, see what happens, and then we'll see what we can do about getting this console fixed. So I'm going to start off by plugging in a HDMI cable, and if we take a look at the port itself looks mint. So I'm really not sure what to expect. So like I said, it could be trace repair, or it could be something else. It could be something like just a standard white light of death or something like that. We're not going to know until we get inside it, but I do want to turn it on and make sure that it does turn on, and just basically try and see what happens. Try and get a general idea of what I'm dealing with before I open the console up. So I do notice that there's some stickers here that say broken HDMI and then a number on there, 25346. Not sure what they mean. They are not Console Repair London stickers. He doesn't put that kind of stuff on his consoles. So it's going to be rather interesting just to see what's going on. And one of the issues as well is that a lot of people, when they see, for example, a blue light of death, they think that they basically think it's a white light of death. I've seen that hundreds of times, genuinely seen that hundreds of times, where people have brought a console to me saying it's got no display and really it's a blue light of death. So we're going to see what's going on. I'm going to switch over to the capture card. Okay, and nothing on the capture card is being detected at all. Okay, and we've got no signal whatsoever on the capture card. It's not even detecting on the HDMI splitter. So yeah, and one interesting thing is that we've got a blue light of death. This is not a display issue. So this is still pulsing blue. It's not a display issue. Now the question is it HDMI issue? Is it a APU issue, or is it something else? It could be a hard drive issue. I do notice a dent here in the hard drive, or rather in the cover where the hard drive is. So let's start off by disconnecting the hard drive. So hard drive disconnected. Let's turn it back on. And doesn't appear as though we've got any display still. So yeah. So one thing this could be is that the HDMI circuit could have been damaged, and there are certain parts of the HDMI circuit which will cause a blue light of death, but it all depends on which ones. So one thing I've noticed on the PS4 Slim is when we've got those fake HDMI encoder ICs, they cause a blue light of death. I'm not sure exactly what pins cause it, but some of the pins on a HDMI encoder IC can cause a blue light of death. So that's one interesting thing to note here. And the worrying thing is, like I said, this says broken HDMI. A lot of people, they really don't know what they're looking at when they're trying to diagnose a fault on these, and they just see that it's not displaying on the screen and automatically assume it's a HDMI fault. And I see it all the time, but unfortunately, you're just not going to get everyone to understand. Not everyone is going to understand. That's the bad thing. We've still got a blue light of death, so this is now being changed from a white light of death to a blue light of death. So I need to contact London about this and just basically explain the situation and see what it wants me to do, whether it wants me to carry on diagnosing it or not. So I'll pause the video and I'll be back in a second.
2 very boring minutes later.
Right, okay, so I haven't heard a response back from Console Repair London, but I'm going to carry on working on it anyway because he generally tells me to just carry on if I find any more issues anyway. So I'm going to assume that he wants me to carry on working on it, and yeah, then we'll see what happens. So this has very clearly been opened before because there's marks all over the screws, which is kind of annoying to see. I don't like when other technicians mess with the console. It's not saying that the other technician has done something wrong, it's just saying that I don't know what they've done. And I worked on one earlier, for example, and I couldn't get one of the screws out of the power supply, and I ended up having to destroy this top plate just to be able to get inside the console. And that's something that the customer had to be billed for because I had to replace the top plate, and it wasn't my fault, and I couldn't have continued with the repair without damaging that top plate. It was just too tight, and it was destroying the screw as well as my screwdrivers. So I'm going to include the disassembly of this one on video because I don't want to basically find any nasty surprises and then be on the foot for the bill. So yeah, it's going to be one of them where I include the disassembly, and that, for example, that broken clip, that's one example. So yeah, I'm going to keep the disassembly on video. I'll probably fast forward through it because it's boring, but I'm going to keep recording while I'm disassembling it. Like I said, I don't want any nasty surprises, and I don't want to be on the hook for the bill as well. So yeah, oh my god. Well, the surprises start already. We have tape on the disk drive ribbon. There's no metal plate there. There's tape on the disk drive ribbon. Screw missing, screw missing, screw missing. Okay, I don't understand why someone has marked all of the screws. That doesn't make any sense. Right, okay. So yeah, this is a definite prior repair attempt. I believe I've just had a WhatsApp message, which is going to be off Console Repair London. So I'll check that in a second. Okay. Right, what do we see here then? Let's have a look. We have a damaged disk drive connector. That's really annoying because, well, are we even going to be able to get the disk drive working? Right, I'll just show you that. So you can see the metal clip's been lifted up there, so that's probably going to need replacing, if I'm honest, before we can get the disk drive working. It's also very, very dusty. Definitely had a replacement HDMI port. Okay. not a very good HDMI port replacement, that's for sure. Right, let's pop under the microscope. And yeah, very visible damage to the HDMI circuit there. So now the question is, what on earth are we dealing with? I think I need to lift the HDMI port off before I can do anything. So I'm going to do that. I can clearly see that there's stray wires and everything everywhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift off the HDMI port, clean up the circuit. I'm not going to restore the traces because I don't want to waste any time. I need to get this to display a white light first before I do anything. So I'm going to remove this HDMI port first. Actually, let's switch over to this camera so as I can get proper heat on this. I'm going to do it from underneath. So there's the port off. Let's have a look at what we're dealing with then. Wow. Okay. Well, we very clearly have a lot of damage around that area. Right, so what I need to do first, before I go any further with any kind of trace repair, I need to clean up the board. I need to make sure that we can get a white light. Because if we can get a white light, then there's a good chance of being able to get it working. If we can't get a white light, then I'm not going to proceed with the repair because it's not going to be worth it. It's going to cost more to get a white light and to do the trace repair than it's going to be to replace the board. So I'm not going to be wasting time on this if it's not going to display. And most of these traces, to be honest, they need to go. Yeah, so this could be causing a white light of death, a blue light of death. Having so much damage on the HDMI circuit, it could be causing a blue light of death because the pins was very clearly touching together. These pins can't be salvaged for sure. Okay. So we have 14 missing pins. 13 because number 14 is missing, but that's a not connected pin anyway. 14 missing pins. See, the trace repair is not a problem. The trace repair can be done. It's whether or not it's going to be worth it if it's still got a blue light of death once the board's been cleaned. Because if it's still got a blue light of death once the board's been cleaned, then like I said, it's going to cost too much compared to the cost of a replacement board. Because I've got to sit there and diagnose a blue light of death, which is probably going to be APU related. And then I've got to repair that, and then I've got to repair the traces. So the traces are going to take at least an hour. Even if I wasn't on video, they're going to take at least an hour to do 14 traces. So you're talking at least 2 hours work. That's an average of £50 to £60 per hour. It would probably be cheaper to replace the board. Yeah, it's not going to be worth it if this is still got a white light of death in it, a blue light of death in a minute. Right, what I am going to do is I'm just going to do a couple of diagnostics on the HDMI circuit itself, just check a few things. So I've got the multimeter up on the screen, and I've got the multimeter set into diode mode. I'm just going to get a couple of readings off the motherboard, just check a few of these diodes and things around here. And I'll start with this one here. We get 0.486. That's a little bit lower than normal, but it's still fine. It's still within range. 0.488, 0.493. This should be open line. Yep. This one should be around about the same as the other three. 0.57. Yeah, it's fine. It's within range. So let's flip the leads around then. So black probe on ground. This should be open line. And it is. Open line. Open line. Damn it. Keep slipping with the probe. It's open line. This one should give a reading now. 0.580. Yep, okay. So those are all reading normal. But the question is, do we have any blown filters? Do we have a blown chip? And that's something that we're not going to know until we do the trace repair. The problem with that is if we do the trace repair, spend an hour doing trace repair just to find out that it's got a blown chip, then again, it's not going to be worth the actual cost of repair. So I think I need to put this back inside the case and see if the blue light of death has disappeared. So let's just put this back together short term and just see if we've got rid of the blue light of death. I mean, if it's a case of it needs an encoder and the trace repair, then it may be able to be done for less than the cost of a replacement board. But it's certainly not going to be cheap. It's certainly not going to be a cheap repair, that is for sure. And it's something that I need to evaluate. But it might end up cheaper to just replace this board. So I'm going to put it back together. I know I haven't replaced the thermal paste, but that's not the point of putting it back together. The point of putting it back together is to find out if the blue light of death has gone. Because if the blue light of death hasn't gone, then I'm calling it a no fix, because it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it at all. I'm going to leave the disk drive disconnected. I will plug this in just because it's in the way of the power supply. But I'm going to leave the disk drive disconnected because that could also cause a blue light of death if we've got a short on those pins somewhere. So I'm not going to reconnect the disk drive up. I'm just going to plug it in like this and just see what happens. I mean, if it's just a trace repair and that connector, then you know, fine, I can deal with that. That connector's not that much of a big deal to replace. I mean, it is difficult, but it's not a long process to replace it. I can see that's bent as well. Okay, so let's just plug it in and see if we've got any change on the situation. Now I can't switch over to the capture card because there's no HDMI port there. The disk drive is also going to make a funny noise because the ribbon's not connected. That's normal because it can't send any data to the motherboard. So I'm not worried about that for now. I'm just checking for heat spots on the RAM. And there are none. But it looks like we've still got a blue light of death. So again, it looks like I'm going to have to get in touch with Console Repair London. I mean, I can do the work, but the problem is I'm not going to do it on a no fix, no fee. That's not going to happen. It's just too far gone to risk that. And yep, this is not going to go to a white light. I'm going to pause again, and I'm probably going to end up not doing a fix in this video. But I'll contact Console Repair London. I'll see what he says, and then I'll get back to the video. Okay, I've just spoken to Console Repair London, and as you can see, this thing is still pulsing away. It's not going to turn on. So if we think about it, this has got a blue light of death, which could be absolutely anything because it's a long pulsing blue light of death. So it could be literally anything. It has very visible damage here. So there's a dent in the top frame here. It has 14 missing traces, or 13 if we don't count pin number 14, which is a not connected pin. And it also has a damaged disk drive connector as well. So there's going to be far too much work to be able to justify the cost that's going to be involved. When you think about the fact that the trace repair alone I would charge £60 for, and then the blue light of death, if it needed, for example, an APU rebuild, that's another £65. Even with a 20 to 25% discount on labour costs being part of the same job. And then the damaged disk drive connector, the potential for having a damaged hard drive, or a hard drive what might fail in the future. There's just far too much there to make it worthwhile. And unfortunately, that's just the way it goes sometimes. So I'm going to post this video anyway, because you know it might be useful for someone to determine basically when to call it a day. And I know I've not done anything to this apart from remove the HDMI port. I'm not even going to waste my time and put that HDMI port back on, because it's just not worth it. This board is completely beyond economical to repair, and you know it's just one of them things. So that's just the way it goes sometimes. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Obviously, some sort of cable has had their hands on this, and this is just what happens when people who are inexperienced try to work on a console or on any electronic device, of that matter. It could be the customer. I don't know any history about the console. They could have had a crack themselves, but unfortunately, it's just not worth it. Right, but that's going to be for this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any comments or questions, leave them down in the comment section down below. If you do enjoy this type of content and you want to see more repair videos where I usually manage to fix them, then be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on bell notifications so that you're notified every time that I upload. If you do enjoy what I do and you want to support the channel, there are a ton of Amazon affiliate links down below where I get a little bit of a kickback every time you buy something from Amazon when you use one of my links. You can find stuff like this Hakko FX951 soldering iron. You can find stuff like this Atten fume extractor and the Atten ST862D soldering iron. You can even find stuff like this microscope just here. Not this one. This one's filthy, so you may as well buy a new one. Yeah, every time you click on a link, then I'll get a little bit of a kickback, or you can become a channel member for as low as £1.99 per month, and that also supports the channel. But that's going to be for this video, guys. Unfortunately, it is what it is, and we can't fix them all. But until next time, see you later. Bye for now.